I think something that's important to understand, our educator for trading is James Leone, and he's absolutely the best trader I've ever seen. He absolutely knows what he's doing, and he's helped a lot of our members get to a point of profitability. And many people that join his call, they're full-time. They depend on his guidance in order to provide for their families. And what's important to know, though, is that James has been trading a long time. For us to take all the knowledge that's in his head and attempt to feed it to someone brand spanking new, that is not something that happens overnight or even over a weekend. Okay, so we have training with videos that go over multiple different strategies, the purpose behind the indicators, James's thought processes. We have live trading sessions where you can hop in and actually watch James analyze the market. We have all these different tools in place to help you get the knowledge that we want to pass on. However, it's impossible for that to be packaged perfectly, and this is why it's important to understand the concept of what gets measured gets managed. What's interesting is as you measure your own learning process, you start to hear some things that maybe you didn't know before, even though you watched the training more than once. I'll give you a prime example, actually. Just this morning, I learned something that I didn't know was a thing. James suggests per trading session to do 5 trades max. He's like, you got 5 bullets, use them wisely. If I had known that, I probably would have picked my trades a little bit more carefully. I probably would have had a different mindset of going into those sessions. And so that's what I mean. We can't take every little piece of information from James' head and put it into video format because there's always something new.
So what are the secrets? How do some of the most successful entrepreneurs find the freedom that we all got into business for in the first place? How did they find the time, energy, and resources to launch and scale strong? And how do entrepreneurs like us align our time, money, and energy in a way that will allow us to reach what we set out to achieve? These are the key questions, and this community will give you the answers. Welcome to the Prosperity Movement. All right, welcome to the Prosperity U podcast, where we are here to help you drive more impact and income so you can do more of the things you love with the people you love most. Let's dive into our mission, vision, values before we get into today's topic. But our mission is very simply to impact the world by bringing life-giving principles of prosperity to it. Our vision is to guide our community to back engineer their full power and potential with purpose-driven growth so they can do more of the things they love with the people they love most. And our values are comprised of the 3 I's. So impact, integrity, and intentionality. So with impact, in order to impact the world, we value time, health, relationships, and legacy relentlessly at the highest level. With integrity, we value people over profits, and we are driven and dedicated to the success of our community. With intentionality, we provide result-oriented support through mentorship to ignite an inspired and focused community. And how important of a topic is today with all of those principles and all of those values, if you will, which is what gets measured gets managed. So today we're going to talk about some of the trader's journey, and we get all kinds of fun in terms of conversations that we have throughout the week, because on average right now we have about 350 people coming through a week, about 1,400 a month, and just under 17,000 a year that are interested in becoming a part of Prosperity University. And there are 2 types of people that typically come through. Number one, there is the new trader that's coming through. They're feeling the squeeze of the economy. They don't like what's happening with inflation, and I don't think anybody really enjoys that what's happening there. And so they want to leverage what the banks have been doing with our money for years, and they understand the power of compound interest, and they're ready to make a rapid change in their life. The other individual is the type of person who, has trading experience, and they have been going through a series of maybe feeling inundated with information, whether it's learning off of YouTube or maybe another education platform that's just completely enthralled with so many different educators and education, and they're jumping ship and they're going to one thing to the other. It seems like one thing is working and then it stops working. And I think that everybody that is experienced here enough knows what it feels like to, as an experienced person who might be struggling with what I'm describing here, to make a trade and feel like you did absolutely every single thing that the strategy told you to do, and for some reason it went the other way. And now you're sitting here as wondering what you've done wrong and why. Like how do you differentiate that? And I think what makes us very special here over at Prosperity Movement is that we have such a high value for guidance and mentorship. And we believe that that's so important in anything because you don't know what you don't know. And if you don't have somebody experience over your shoulder kind of showing you the areas that you might not have realized, then how do you become successful? I mean, just like, uh, we talk about driving. You had to get a learner's permit, you had to do a written exam, and then you typically for a couple of seasons have to sit next to somebody experienced before you can then go do your practical exam and then be awarded your license. And that's the approach that we feel is so different over here, as well as, again, what gets measured gets managed. And not only what gets measured gets managed as an individual, but as a community, how we're overlooking it together and how we're coming together, traders helping traders to actually help people back engineer what they want to achieve. So I'm going to kind of pass it over. I think Zach has some ideas that he has a little bit prepared here. There's been something that he's been working really hard on. I'm sure he wants to talk about that as well. So yeah, take it away, Zach.
Thanks. Yeah, so there's a lot, and I think something that's important to understand is that you know, so our educator for trading is James Leone, and he's absolutely the best trader I've ever seen. He absolutely knows what he's doing, and he's helped a lot of our members get to a point of profitability, right? And many people that join his call, they're full time. They depend on his guidance in order to provide more than adequately for their families, right? And what's important to know though is that James has been trading a long time, long time. For us to take all the knowledge that's in his head and attempt to feed it to someone brand spanking new, that is not something that happens overnight or even over a weekend. Okay, so we have training with videos that go over multiple different strategies, the purpose behind the indicators, James's thought processes. We have live trading sessions where you can hop in and actually watch the market and watch James analyze the market, or even community members analyze the market. We have all these different tools in place to help you get the knowledge that we want to pass on. However, it's impossible for that to be packaged perfectly. So it's what's interesting, and this is why it's important to understand the concept of what gets measured gets managed. What's interesting is as you measure your own learning process, you start to hear some things that maybe you didn't know before, even though you watched the training more than once, right? I'll give you a prime example. Actually, just this morning, I learned something that I didn't know was a thing. And if I had known this was a thing, I probably would have traded better over the last 2 weeks. Now, keep in mind, in the last 2 weeks, I've gained 100 and a total net of 145.26 pips. So, which is great. I actually gained 233, but I also lost 80. So hence 140. So that's pretty good for 2 weeks. I'm okay with it. I'm very happy with it. In fact, however, I heard a little snippet today. I didn't know this. James suggests per trading session to do 5 trades max. I didn't know that. He's like, you got 5 bullets. Use them wisely. Right? If I had known that, I probably would have picked my trades a little bit more carefully. I probably would have had a different mindset of going into those sessions, right? And so that's what I mean. We can't take every little piece of information from James' head and put it into video format because there's always something new. There's too much in there.
What I always tell people is like, again, like if we come back to the driving, you've got the driver's test. We do have a graduation process on the other side of this. There is about 15 hours worth of material for an individual to go through. We ask that you be like Santa Claus and check it twice. So a couple of weekends worth of getting prepared to get out on the field, right? To get out on and drive next to your instructor, James, because that'll prepare you to understand. Okay, well, okay, that's a signal. In which case, this might be a turning signal, or right? You'll hear about pivots. We got a turning signal coming up. We're gonna go the other way. All that kind of stuff is going to help you with the proper terminology so that you can now follow along and kind of be guided through that process. And then again, like Zach said, okay, well, being able to take the data of how many trades you should be taking in a day and putting that into your trading plan, and then being able to look back at that information is invaluable. And not only you being able to look back at it, but your coaches to be able to look back at it, to be able to guide you through that process of what you should be focused on next. Like there have been plenty of times where James has prescribed somebody a specific simple thing of like, this line, go take a bunch of trades. As soon as it crosses this line, enter a trade and focus on that, and just be disciplined with every time it crosses that line, you know. So it's like the more that you are engaging with the community and measuring your own personal success, it allows you to get that empowerment through the guidance process as well, because now we can actually see where you are. It's kind of like that book Living Forward that Travis and I are always talking about. Travis actually was living in a trailer behind his buddy's barn at one point, and then did well over six figures.
Sounds way better
months.
if you let me tell that part of the story. But yeah,
Well, I just want them to know that you were
like,
like a hobo for a second, and then you cracked six figures in like 6 months, right? So like,
yeah.
But what that book did is it helped you to identify exactly where you are, exactly where you want to be, and it helped you back engineer, where you're going, right?
I think just in whole, everybody in any industry, like this is a blanket statement for sure, a general statement, but everyone says you should be tracking things, right? Or making a plan. And typically you'll hear in Bryan, the book that you like so much, the Pitch Anything, was talking about it a little bit about how it's all a numbers game. And especially in like my sales experience in a car dealership, they're always like, track your numbers. If you talk to this many people and go on this many test rides, and then if you write them up with just paperwork, then you'll sell this amount of people. And at the end of the day, it's like, oh, I'm 2% good at this. And I think the common metrics that most people are trying to use are a little bit too basic, and not encompassing. Like the idea of what's your dream, what's your why, what kind of Lamborghini do you want? So, they're talking about worldly things, and that supposedly is going to be my dream. Now it transpires to my goals, which now transpires to my ability to get there somehow. It's like that's how they start keeping track, and it's like, no, those are not the right parameters to use. We should be extremely specific. Starting with foundational things, not the skyscraper that you want to build, but the foundation of which it's going to stand on. In fact, I'm reading 1 Corinthians right now, and it's talking about the foundation, the rock again. And so I guess that's kind of why it's on my heart. Is it's fresh, but what gets managed or measured get managed, right? That's really a proverbial concept that seems really, really simple, but we can probably talk on this in 5 more podcasts about this nonstop of what does it actually mean. And so with all that being said, I'm curious what you guys think is the most important aspects of being able to start tracking these kinds of metrics. What should people be looking at when they're going on a trading journey? I mean, that's what this podcast is about, trading. So what are the important ones?
It's a good question. So, but I actually have I have some pretty good answers for that. But before I get into that, I'd like to just humble brag a little bit, or not so humbly brag. So, analyzing numbers and kind of digging deep and taking numbers and interpreting them into actual action plans and pivot points is something that I found that I have a particular talent in. And I'll tell you, the first time I discovered this little talent, I was an affiliate marketer just starting out. I launched an ad for a company, and the first month didn't make anything, but I was like, this number seems to be kind of like the bottleneck. So I wonder if I make a little tweak over here, and then maybe that number will like open up. And I made that tweak, the number opened up, and then the next month I made like $500. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So all I have to do is find the bottlenecks, figure out what causes it and how to widen that bottleneck, and then things start flowing. And so what I did at that time, I was working as an engineer. I literally quit my job, which definitely too soon. Okay. But I quit my job and and I looked at the numbers again with that $500 and I was like, okay, where's my next bottleneck? And I found it and I said, how can I make this bit wider? And I did, and I ended up making close to right around that five-figure mark, right around the 10K a month, every month from then on while I was an affiliate for that company, because I kept finding more bottlenecks. How do I widen it? Bottleneck, widen it, right? So the question that Travis is wondering is, what are these key bottlenecks, points in a trader's journey that you ought to pay attention to? So there's a couple. So probably one of the bigger ones, and I know James is a fan of this, obviously, and so have I, even on the binary side, but it's your win rate. If you take 10 trades, how many of them are you winning? How many of them are you losing? If you take 100 trades, how many are you winning? How many are you losing, right? That percentage is very, very important. James recommends 70%. Should not be less than that. Okay, if it is less than that, you should still be in demo. And I would concur. Okay, so I'm using me as a bit of an example because, as you guys know, I devoted the vast majority of my time to binary trading for many years, and now I've switched over more on the Forex side, and I'm just I was basically in demo, so to speak, up until this month. So just following the process, just doing everything that our students do and that James recommends. So it's been 2 weeks now where I've actually had a live account, just 2 weeks. Okay. And so it's a good example of somebody just fresh coming in. And I'm at an 88% win rate. Okay. That's one key metric to look at. So in terms of my ratios, how many trades I win versus how many I lose, I'm doing good. Right. So that's not necessarily a problem. And I'm very profitable. I actually did the math on it. I'm like 40. Oh, wait, I have it up here still. 40.92% gains so far in 2 weeks.
That's awesome.
It's not bad. 20%.
That's awesome.
So,
and I think it's important to note here for everyone listening is that I do get the privilege, an awesome privilege to talk to Zach outside of things like this podcast. And every time that he's brought this up or in the past 2 weeks and the progress and such, you always give it to James and just the basic wisdom that is being presented with it, and just saying I'm listening to what works and I'm just following the rules. I mean, it's not like you're a super special guy here. You are very special to me, but it's like you're not some abstract construct of a person that right. Because you are now you can also be a good trader. You're just following the simple wisdoms, and that's what you're advocating for everyone in the movement right now. And that's what people should be hearing as well, is that Zach's progress here is not unattainable for you. That right. It's just follow the rules.
100%. 100%.
Yeah. Now,
you're special.
There are other things that I think that get missed sometimes as well, which is like learning about targets, I think is a big one.
Oh, 100%. Well, I'll get to that. Can I? Yeah. I promise you, we'll get to trade management and stuff like that. But first, I think it's important to have these little KPIs, which are key performance indicators for traders. Yeah. So one is that win rate, right? Another one that's talked about a lot is something called your hold percentage. And so what this is if you were to take the amount of pips that you win and you divide it by the amount of pips that you lose, okay, you get a percentage. Okay. And so it's almost like a pip win rate, if you will. And so what James always recommends for that is a 1.2% win rate on that, or hold percentage. So mine's at 2.64 in the last 2 weeks. Okay, on my real live account. All right. Cool. So that's a second KPI. There's a KPI that I really, really like, and it is your average amount of pips per win. So on average, when you get a win, how many pips are you gaining? And the other side, if you lose, on average, how many pips are you losing? This is actually really important because it's actually been very eye-opening for me. Guys, I've taken in 2 weeks, so let's see, 37, 42 trades total. Okay. Out of the 42, I have 37 wins and 5 losses. Hey, that's pretty sweet. That sounds pretty good, right? Here's the problem. My wins, on average, I get 6.32 pips. So on average per win, I'm making 6 pips. Okay, that's not great. That's not wonderful. But okay, whatever. I have a lot of wins. Losses on average is a 17 pip loss. Do you see the discrepancy there? Right? That's my bottleneck right now. So I can look at these kinds of pieces of data and say, oh, okay, so obviously when I do have a loss, the loss is definitely bigger than the wins that I'm taking. So now how can I prevent that from happening? What can I do differently so that I can switch these numbers around and they should be flip-flopped? Okay, I guarantee you James's on average his win pips is way, way, way bigger than 6 and way, way, way bigger than his average loss. I would say his average loss is probably like 1 or 2 pips or 3 pips or something like that, right? Like it's very, very small. So I can reach out to my coach. I can reach out to the community, find out what they think. I can relook at these 5 losses. I can look at them in the chart and see what was I thinking? When did I enter? What was my stop loss? How did I let it get that low? Right? These are all different things that you can analyze once you know these numbers. So then the next question would be, how do you know these numbers? Right? Like, well, how do you keep track? We happen to have a tool. So now I'm a little hesitant to share the screen though, because we have a member of our community. Let's see if he's on here actually. He's a great guy, super active member, doing super well. By profession, he does cybersecurity. And he pointed out we had a free training that we were doing. And in the free training, I was like, here's a spreadsheet that you can get if you become a paid member. And he was like, dude, I can see the URL. I could just type in the URL and I get the spreadsheet for free. Right. So like he kind of helped us identify. So anyway, that's why I'm a little hesitant to share my screen with this. I'm wondering if there's a way I can like block out the URL. Well, I know what I can do. I can delete the URL and just not refresh. Right? Haha, it works. Okay. So I'm going to share my screen. I don't want people getting this. It's too good. It's too good. Now I told you how too. So now if it messes up, whatever, you guys will get a free spreadsheet. So this is the spreadsheet. So this is my trade log from 3/11, which I didn't take any trades on that day, to Friday, this coming Friday, till tomorrow. I have no filters on or anything like that. And this is where I can see my 6.32 average and my 17 average per loss. 5 losses out of the total of 42. So 37 wins, 5 losses. So you can see all these little data points. Very, very important. So what I could actually do is I could go to losses here. I could just click on losses. It better not show that URL when I do this. Okay, good. And I can actually analyze the times that these losses happened, how much I lost, what my stop loss was, what was my decisions during that, etc. Right? And you could do the same thing if you had a filter for different markets, if you're doing, certain currency pairs, etc., and if you have different lot sizes as well. So anyway, that's a tool. What gets measured gets managed, guys. This is us measuring these key performance indicators to help find your own personal trading bottleneck and then course correct, modify your trading plan in order to make it better, in order to improve.
Brilliant.
James loves
working on that. James, yeah. And then you said that there were ways for you to even look back on the week, on the month. Like you can look at metrics daily, weekly, monthly, and all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
It's super
I think
powerful.
it's painting a good picture of it being a reasonable process as well. These aren't grandiose numbers. You start small, build, scale it, condition yourself, get more confident, get more consistent, And over time, it's just the same thing that you're doing right now over larger numbers produces a very, very meaningful result. So a lot of people that are watching have either, like Brian said, are either brand new and learning about trading, or they've been trading for a long time and it's just that they're struggling with something. And that is the point of keeping track of these things and going at a slow and steady pace. I mean, it's a compound effect. And eventually, well, I guess it's always an exponential, but it will start going up meaningfully, right? So right now, these numbers, man, you're not going out to Chipotle and getting the extra guacamole. It costs $2 more. We know that, but you're at some point you will.
Yes.
And by tracking the numbers and having a systematized approach of starting small and scaling large is really key. I think most people get over eager to go really fast, and they're not patient at the beginning. It's almost kind of a painful process to start and be trading on small numbers, because in your mind, in your heart, you're like, oh my gosh, if I can do it with these numbers, I can do it on this as well. And then you start trying to go faster than you can, right?
Yeah. I in fact, I even, because my numbers last week did not look nearly as good as this week, and I analyzed and I thought, I've still got a lot to learn. I decided to stay in gate 1 2 weeks in a row. So I gated last week. I got 41 pips or something like that. This
Sure.
week I gained 104. So you can see a difference in my own trading and the improvement just from looking at numbers, reviewing my trades, and reaching out for support if I need it. So absolutely. I love it. I love it to death. It is very attainable. I can't wait to keep you guys posted on this account, because I'm feeling really, it's such a simple thing to hop on and listen to James, and listen carefully, by the way. Don't listen carefully. Like today, I think this morning he was saying how there's an entry at a certain price. So I was thinking to myself, okay, cool. I'm waiting for that price. And then he mentioned, but I also want the 3-minute or the 2-minute to do the same. It needs to hit this thing. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to wait for that too. And then later it hit the price, but it didn't happen on the 2-minute. And he said that. He goes, well, we're at that price, but the 2-minute didn't agree. So there's still no entry. Right? So you gotta pay attention. You can't, you gotta be kind of in the zone and like listening carefully. Don't try to multitask.
Mm.
Well, outside of getting a little bit overeager when people start seeing the efficacy of this, what other potential bottlenecks or common themes do you guys see with individuals with keeping track of things, in the process of measuring and managing what they have? What are some other things to consider and to look out for?
I think some people automatically, it's almost like they put emotion into the numbers. The thing I like about numbers is that they're very honest. They just are what they are. So if you see a number you don't like, so for example, I don't like the fact that on average, if I take a loss, it's a 17 pip loss. I hate that. That's not good. So does that mean I should start making excuses though? Because this is what a lot of people will do, is they'll see that and they'll be like, yeah, well, that's because this one time I entered, but it was an accident. Like my finger was a little heavy on the mouse and I accidentally clicked, oops, my bad. And I had to like get out. So like, well, instead of don't try to be defensive on these numbers. So if you see numbers and you start to see and recognize a bottleneck, be honest about it and start to say, what can I do differently?
Mm.
It's literally that simple. But I've seen people before, just in other fields, not just trading, but even in like marketing and stuff, where they see a number and they're like, well, excuse. And it's, no, we got to be honest with it. Numbers are numbers. They don't have any kind of judgment associated with them. It's just, what can we do different? How can we improve it?
And it's not ever a personal thing. It's not an attack on you.
Right.
It's just a fact, right? This is something that needs to be improved, and the concept is don't take it personally. Find the solution, right? And typically solutions are found within the help that you can get with other peers that are trading with you, that having more eyes on it, putting brains together. The reality of having people to work with is just I mean, very, very important. It's hard to put a value on that, but to have someone to come through and be there to help you process through those things, not just on an emotional level, but on a like, hey, let's just be realistic. Like Zach's saying, this is just the numbers. Here's how we can fix it, right? To have that's really, I think, quite important.
It's kind of like if you track your reps at the gym.
I was waiting for it. I was
Dang
waiting
it.
for it.
Dang
I
it.
was waiting for it. I knew it was going to come out. There it was. Oh man.
Keep going. Give us the full analogy.
Kind of like, yeah. So,
Hold
you know,
on. Wait. This is what I think of that.
Stop it.
it's not working.
Is it working in there? Is that working?
There we go. That one worked.
Is that one? Okay. Thanks, Travis, for the fart machine.
Happy birthday.
he just threw you under the bus on that one. So, yeah, I mean, it is like tracking anything. Whatever gets measured gets managed, right? So even going to the gym, right? You have
even going to the gym.
certain-
Lord.
certain exercises, whether it be bench press or curls or leg press or squats, whatever it might be, you should be writing down how much weight, how many sets, how many reps, and then also maybe a note. How did you feel? I was a little shaky, right? My knee still hasn't recovered from whatever, or my back still kind of hurts when I did this. I might want to take it down a notch, right? You do that. If you just keep track of that and you go every single day and you do different exercises per, whatever your schedule is, you'd be surprised. I mean, it won't take long to start seeing some results. And then if you apply that principle to your eating habits as well, whew, look out. You'll be unstoppable.
Yeah, I mean, if we're gonna go down that road, that's why I love my Fitness Pal and tracking macros and that's all of those things are important pieces of the equation. Absolutely, I love it. I'm just making fun of it because it's like a constant.
The gym is such a perfect analogy for anything training, though.
It is perfect.
It really is.
Anybody who's on here every week knows that Travis brings it up every single week.
I hope it's helped. And I hope they're at the gym and they're sitting there saying like, oh, the gym's like trading. And then they're more inspired, living vicariously through the different mediums. That would be great. So, I don't think enough can be said about tracking things and being intentional with it and being objective with it. There's not a whole lot of room for emotions and subjectivity with it. It is what it is. And keeping track of things appropriately when it comes to trading is not an overly complex thing. It just needs to be highlighted as an important aspect of it. I think a lot of people are fooled into thinking that trading is just the idea of knowing when to click a button and that's it. Like it's like such a remarkably simple thing, and it is still simple, but there's layers of components there that people should consider when they're going through, and one of the most important ones is to keep track with not only where you are and where you're trying to get to, but what you're doing in the in between, what's actually occurring. And so, as Zach, you were bringing up, like the idea of like I've made this 40-something% gain and such. Well, let's look at all of the numbers then and say, oh, well, here's something that is important that I would have otherwise not seen just based off of the progress, right? If I'm only tracking my weight, then what else should I be tracking when I'm going to the gym, right? Like just right back to the perfect analogy. But there's layers of numbers that are really important for the long-term success and the efficacy of it working in the immediate as well. Does that make sense?
100%.
Yeah. Sorry guys, I'm just like in the middle of a trade on US 30, just dropped. Dropped.
That's kind of Travis, what you were saying there, like and Bryan brought up a little bit ago, is sometimes you have to learn the importance of a take profit or the importance
Somebody
of
measuring what's getting managed right now. Wow.
No.
Anybody else on this call on US 30? Woo!
Let's see. Do we have any US 30 traders on right now? Not that I know of. Nas also dropping. Oh,
Yeah.
fancy. I turned off all my stuff. I was done for the week. So I don't have anything up.
I
But
wanted to play a James thing here. I'm out now, but like I wanted to play a James play there. That's what James is always doing. It's still going, but I pulled the plug. Got some.
well, and I think
I got mine, as James would say, but dang, that was a nice play.
the
It's still cruising.
what these numbers will do though is you can actually identify also is it my entry? Is it that I don't have a take profit? I had 3 trades today and my take profit hit on all 3 of them, which is why I did really, really well today. And being okay with that, right? Instead of, oh crap, it hit my take profit and then I kept going. Well, I was okay with it because I found some re-entries and stuff like that. And um, anyway, but trade management as well. So I think when I was looking at my challenge of this, 17 pips per loss thing, I started looking in it, and from what I can tell, it's a mixture of 2 things. Number one, I found that my entries on those trades were all late. Okay, barely, but still late. And then I also found that my trade management on those was pretty poor. I was kind of like, it'll turn around, and then it didn't. So then I ended up just closing the trade, and then ouch, that was a harsh lesson, right? So those are some things that you can do is you can kind of recognize your own patterns and behaviors as you trade as well.
Yeah, just like
Love
looking
it.
left of the chart, it's a lot easier to look back and, oh, I should have done that kind of thing, right? But if you
Right.
have all of this data that you're getting on your numbers over days, weeks, months, and such, you can start seeing patterns of behaviors with your trades. The trading journal itself to look back on and see how you're I mean, the concept of behavior. How are you behaving? If you can identify patterns, sometimes it takes more data than just 1 week. You might need months of it to be able to see those bigger picture things. But if you're not keeping adequate track in the process on those really important metrics, then it's just one of those little things can have a big compound effect on whether or not you're being fruitful in the market.
Right. Yeah,
Well,
I
cool.
wholeheartedly
Amen.
agree. I'm gonna wrap it up a little early. We've got a trading session coming up in 20 minutes. So if
Yeah.
if you guys are listening in and you're not yet members with us, um, we want to give you that opportunity because I'll tell you what, we just keep winning. I mean, I just see it every day. I'll pull up this thing here I posted yesterday in one of our chats. Um, I said, hey, everybody, I know we post our results during the session in Zoom, but for those who couldn't make it, what pips did you get yesterday and today? And this was yesterday. So I was asking for Tuesday and Wednesday. Um, One guy said 18 on Tuesday, 8 on Wednesday, 21 and 5, 43 and 22, 0 and 15 because they didn't trade, 7 and 33, 13 and 0, 13 and 20, 13, and then that's it. And then we went on to a different topic, but that's pretty outstanding. And that's just 2 days. That was Tuesday and Wednesday this week from a little group of people that we have among all of our people. So absolutely amazing. There's so much to be had. So if you want to join, go to our website, prosperitymovement.online. In the bottom right hand corner, there's a little chat bubble. You click on that chat bubble, put in your information, and for the message, type in what gets measured gets managed. And what we'll do is we'll send you a course. It's actually, you know what? We'll send you the blueprint still. It's still the blueprint. So we'll send you our trading blueprint, which talks a lot about the way to think in front of the chart, the way to plan your wealth portfolio, and those kinds of things. A lot of details in there. We'll send you that complimentary, and then from there you'll have an opportunity to talk with our team and get the ball rolling. So,
Awesome.
anything else, boys?
No,
No,
sounds great.
no, that was great. Thank you for the insight on what gets measured gets managed here. Like I like how you had Like, is that outline somewhere other than in your brain?
Just in my brain.
What's
know
your
on this
brain? You actually had
podcast.
checkpoints for all of those moving parts. Those are actually really well done. I like that. I was like, are you working on a course or like
Probably should.
yeah, it's really good. I really loved it. So thank you very much, and I guess we'll see you guys next week.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
Adios.
Bye bye.